Fabric is the easiest and most intuitive material. So why are you still struggling with all those different fold types and can't figure out how to draw clothes that actually look right? You tried copying from references, traced every fold, but somehow it still looks off. In this video, I'll break down how top anime illustrators make their clothes look dynamic and believable. Step by step, we will go through the logic behind Fabric and how to simplify it for fast, predictable results. By the end, you will know exactly how to draw clothes, so you can make your characters look polished, expressive, and professional. You probably think Fabric is just another material to master, but it's completely different from anything you have ever drawn. Check this Magoon illustration. At first glance, nothing unusual here, just clothes on a character. Seems easy enough, doesn't it? Clothes set the mood, the style, the personality, pretty basic stuff. But stop right there. Before talk about clothes, what's actually happening here with Fabric? Think about it like this. Most things you draw, like a sword for example, always stay the same. Swing it, drop it, whatever, it keeps its shapes, predictable and stable. But Fabric doesn't work like that at all. Fabric is inert. Now hold on, what does it even mean? Fabric never folds the same way twice. Every shift, every touch leaves a trace. It reacts to even the smallest force. Fabric interacts, and this gives you a powerful advantage in storytelling. Look at these examples closely. This character flies forward. Fabric trails behind, showing where the movement is coming from and giving the action life. And here, wind blows and Fabric tells you exactly which direction and how strong it is. Here, the fabric rests gently against a surface, repeating shapes beneath. So you might think, Fabric covered the body anyway, so why bother drawing the body underneath? Well, unfortunately, it's not that easy. To draw believable clothes, you need a solid base. Think of it like dressing a mannequin. But don't panic, you don't need perfect anatomy. Watch how Magoon does this. He just sketches a simple body structure, nothing fancy, and it helps drawing Fabric much more predictable. But none of this matters if you still don't know the hidden logic behind how folds actually work. While we are talking about things that make your illustration better, there is another very useful one, namely the habit of regular practice. That's why I've been taking online classes on Skillshare, the largest online learning platform for creatives. They've got thousands of classes covering everything from illustration, design, and animation. Right now I'm taking an anatomy class by Robert Marzullo, where he teaches how to break down parts of the body and use simplified shapes. Whether you are just starting out or looking to level up your skills, it gives you practical tools you can use right away. What I like is that Skillshare is built around learning by doing. Every class includes a project, so you can instantly apply what you have learned. And the good news is you will get it all for free, because the first 500 people to use my link in the description will receive a 1 month free trial of Skillshare. Get started today. So back to the hidden logic I mentioned. Look closely at this illustration. See how the fabric grips the body in specific spots. These are anchor points or tension points. That's where Fabric repeats the shape underneath. But that's not all. These anchor points do more than just hold fabric. They create connections, one between these points and the edges, the other between the anchor points themselves. And in that space, the fabric sags, stretching under its own weight. Now look at this. Anywhere the body bends, Fabric has nowhere to go, so it compresses. So what does all this really mean for your drawing? This means that the folds aren't just random. Each one is the result of a specific interaction. These interactions only happen between nearby anchor points, not across the whole body, just the closest areas. This gives you a surprisingly simple way to draw clothes. We will break it down in action soon. So how do you actually tell where the tension builds and where everything starts to bunch up? In a resting pose, gravity is the main force. Fabric pulls downward, creating tension near the top. Shoulders, collarbones, chest, hips. To keep it simple, just remember the most common anchor zones on the body. But what happens when the character pulls the fabric themselves, or moves, or when the wind blows? That force has its own direction, and it creates new anchor points wherever wherever it hits the surface. Unlike gravity, which always pulls downward, this dynamic force comes from another direction. So it creates dynamic anchors, and when anchor points shift, folds follow. So now that you've got the structure and anchor points, what kind of folds actually show up? There are tons of types, but let's focus on the ones top anime illustrators rely on most when drawing clothes. When fabric wraps tightly around the form, like an arm or leg, it creates compression fold. No big tension here, just the fabric pushing and bunching into the surface. Stretch it between two anchor points and you will get arched folds, clean and sweeping curves that connect one point to another. If the form twists, like from shoulder to wrist, those folds begin to spiral, following both the direction of the stretch and the shape beneath. Now imagine two cylinders, say the upper and lower arm bending together. Where they compress, you will get semi-closed folds that bunch and spread out like fans. Let fabric hang freely, and it naturally forms long tubular folds. Same thing happens with skirts when fabric drapes from a circular base, and when it hits a barrier, like a surface or edge, it starts to bunch up into zigzag folds. See what's happening? These aren't random folds, each fold is caused by a specific interaction. Cool and elegant system, right? But take a look at these examples. Why do folds look so different even when the interactions are the same? Because fabric type matters. Thin fabric has small, delicate folds, thick fabric has fewer, larger folds. But what if the material is stiff? In the previous examples, we were mostly looking at soft fabric. The logic stays the same, but the folds change. Instead of soft curves, stiff fabric creates sharper, more angular shape. Now that you understand these basics, reference photos become incredibly useful. You are not just copying what you see anymore. You can find anchor points, see how the fold behave, and simplify it. And speaking of simplify, take a look at this anime clothes. Now compare it to real fabric. The folds are much more simplified. That's exactly what anime artists do. They take complex folds and break them down into clean, readable shapes. It looks better and it's much easier to draw. So how do top anime artists get their clothes looking so clean and polished? The truth is, there's no single way to do it. Every artist handles it a little differently. And that's exactly what makes each style feel personal. I talk more about this in the free Adapt kit. Grab it from the link in the description. But if you want a reliable method, here is a system that works every time. Start with a simple pose, just enough to show the structure and place your anchor points. Now here is the part that really makes everything easier. Remember how I said anchor points are always connected? That's the key. Break the fabric into simple zones like sleeves, collars, the main body. Then don't try to capture everything. Just focus on the folds between two anchor points. A few well-placed folds do more than 100 messy ones. When you've got that, draw a simple line art. Keep it minimal. Next, fill the shape with flat color. Set your main light source. Then build up shadows with clear, confident shapes. And for a clean anime style finish, add subtle color transition in the shadows, making them sharp on one side and soft on the other. Drawing amazing clothes is just one part of making your characters look gorgeous. But if your anatomy still feels stiff, even the best fabric won't save your illustration. So you definitely don't want to miss the next video.